please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support helps keep AMTV running and the programmes you enjoy coming to your screens. For more information, visit patreon.com/Adam Martyn AMTV. And now, here on AMTV, it's that time of the week again. Your questions answered in the Sunday Catch-Up. The following programme is rated PG. AMTV recommends parental guidance. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back, after long last, to the Sunday Catch-Up, episode 77. And yes, besides the fact I now look like either a representative of Sweden or indeed IKEA, I am back to answer more of your questions. Now, a few things to address. Obviously, this is the first Sunday Catch-Up after the break, so I will be answering questions left on the Sunday Catch-Up episode 76. And there is going to be a few changes to the format, which I'll explain in a bit. As you can see, I'm filming again in a sort of different setup. These two pinboards behind me, eventually will have stuff on them. No, this is not drama alert. You've not come to watch Keemstar, don't worry. You might ask why I'm not using my microphone. Well, the fact is my camera doesn't have like an inbuilt microphone thing. I'm looking at getting an interface between the two, but that's why I'm choosing not to use it. And I'll be reading your questions, as you can see, off my laptop. So I hope you're ready to enjoy it. Few things first, shows will be coming back. The best way to keep up to date with what is going on the channel is to become a supporter on Patreon. I post a weekly blog post that is accessible to our producers, and if you're at any level of the Patreon, you're going to get content early. I've already started putting content out early on Patreon. All videos will go on Patreon first, and then they will eventually make their way to YouTube, but they will go on Patreon much earlier. So if you want to see that sort of content and get other great rewards, please consider helping support us on Patreon. In terms of the Sunday Catch-Up, what I'm going to work in is that anyone who is a supporter on Patreon, I'm going to be putting out posts, sort of leave your questions here. Patreon members will definitely get their questions answered. That is 100% guaranteed. It doesn't matter what your question is. Your question will be answered if you are indeed a supporter on Patreon. If you comment normally in the regular comment section, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to be answering the first 30 questions that are left. I'll say that again, only the first 30 questions that are left in the comments of the Sunday Catch-Up will be answered from this video onwards. Why is that? Well, as much as I enjoy answering your questions, I find these videos do get absurdly long nowadays, 20, 30 minutes, and that's never really what I intended the Sunday Catch-Up to be. I always wanted them to sort of be like 10, 15 minute experiences. So I hope you understand the first 30 people who leave comments will get their questions answered. And if you are a supporter on Patreon, you will definitely get your questions answered no matter what. Still a 3-question rule on Patreon, but that is how it's going to be working from now on. So I will read your YouTube comments. Again, this is the last time I'll read all of them. So let's get into your questions. Kyle G says, if you didn't work in a theatre, where do you think you'd work? Well, I'm actually facing that question now, what with everything happening with the pandemic. I mean, I'd love to work in some sort of like museum-based capacity, like a history-based thing, but something I'm interested in. I think it's important when you're doing museum stuff to go in a job you're interested in. What video editing software do you use? Just iMovie. Nothing too extreme. I'm tempted by getting things like Sony Vegas and whatnot, but I feel for what I want to do right now, iMovie's fine. And favourite newspaper? I don't really read the newspapers, to be honest, so don't really have an answer for that. FP YouTube says, what's your favourite news presenter? I do like Peter Levy on BBC Look North. I've been watching him a lot during everything that's happened the past few months. I think he's got a great style, he's got a great rapport with fellow people on Look North. I think he's great. And have you heard of ITV Merit is actually coming on July 29th? Well, that'll be out now, but no, I'd never heard of ITV Merit, to be honest. NFL Fan 65 says, AMTV or ITV Creates? Well, I'm gonna say AMTV, obviously. BFB or II2? Don't know what those are, mate. And who's better, BBC or Channel 5? BBC, any day of the week. Adio F says, would you work for the BBFC if you had the chance? Well, yeah, if they did stuff like that, I'd love to work in some capacity in that industry. I just don't know whether I'd get the chance. And what is the perfect Sunday roast for you? Just probably like a roast lamb. I love lamb, and just a typical English roast dinner. Big fan, big fan. Itoji says, can you destroy this question? Well, consider it destroyed. Kyle Wright says, what do you think of the Now 56 artwork? So Now 56, that's a Christmassy one, isn't it? Like more icicles and stuff. I always like the Christmassy ones that go with that sort of colour scheme, like your blues and whites. So yeah, I'm a big fan. And 2, if you ever went to Butlins, which resort would you go to? I don't know where the resorts are, so I actually wouldn't be able to answer that, I'm afraid. And did you know I'm half Yorkshire? Are you? Which half Yorkshire are you? North, east, south or west? It's a very important question. Evan Reed says, what is your least favourite animated movie? My least favourite? Oh, I haven't delved into that in a long time. Just anything that's really boring, or like anything that's either really boring or just doesn't hold my interest for that long. I'm trying to think of one that springs to mind, like one maybe I watched in the cinema. Basically, well, I'll tell you what is, like, all the Disney ones hook me, even ones that are like considered bad, like, I don't know, The Black Cauldron or some of the sequels, they usually grip me. Mateos Fret 53 says, who would be final in the UEFA Champions League 1920? Well, I can't, hopefully Liverpool. What is the vaccine of you-know-what? If I knew, I'd share it with you all. And do you like MTV Music? I did when they actually did music. They don't do that anymore. The Carol John 1 says, what do you think of the Now 64 artwork? 64, that is that the balloony one? Or is that 66? No, 64, Now 64, Now 64. It's gone, mate, it's escaped me. And have you ever witnessed anyone kicking off in Tesco while shopping? I have during the pandemic, and it's pathetic, quite frankly. And do you like fudge? Yeah, I'm partial to a bit of fudge here and there. Not my favourite delicacy, but I like my fudge. KGS says, are you shocked at how Dilys Price has changed? What, from Fireman Sam? Well, I haven't seen how she's changed, really. I mean, everyone changes in time. Cara Confused or Brian the Robot? Brian the Robot, any day. And what are your thoughts on, is it Kaio or Kailu? I can't remember how it is. I haven't seen it. I know what it is, but I haven't seen it, so I don't really have any thoughts. I mean, it looks good for its intended target audience, but I haven't seen it. Ribbleye says, how many Sony Walkmans do you own currently, and what is your favourite out of all of them? I currently own 6, so I've got the 5 that I had in the Walkman Week series, and I've also got a Sony Walkman WM-F10, which is the size of an actual cassette, although those things are really hard to maintain. It's probably my favourite from an aesthetic point of view, but I do like my WM-22, that's a classic bit of kit. EMP, Everything Mario Pro says, what is your favourite Pokemon? I bet you totally can't guess mine. I probably can't. I'm going to say Bulbasaur, because it's the first one that popped in my head. My favourite Pokemon? I never really played it. More of a Yu-Gi-Oh kid, sorry. Would you do an AMTV meet and greet? I mean, personally, I don't think I'm like big enough of a channel to do that sort of stuff. I mean, if there was ever an event going on, it's currently not safe to do so, in my opinion, but in the future, yeah, if circumstances allowed, I'd happily do a meet and greet. And number 3, Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo? Well, I'll always go with Nintendo, my heart of hearts, because I think as a company they produce the best sort of games. However, PlayStation was my first console, so it's a mock-up between those two, really. Max Jackson says, beer or wine? Beer. Beer, man. Fireman Sam or Postman Pat? Probably Fireman Sam. And Pingu or the Wombles? Pingu. I never really watched the Wombles as a kid, but Pingu I watched a lot. Chat says, have you ever seen the BBC Two documentary, The Tale of Two? Is that... which one's... is that of like the BBC Two logo or the channel itself? I might have seen that here or there, but it's been a while since I have, actually. And what is your favourite pizza toppings? I'm just a cheese and tomato guy, to be honest. Nice and simple, nothing too extravagant. And what is your favourite cake? Chocolate. Chocolate cake. Mint chocolate cake. Intel Pentium processor and Intel Pentium 4 Pro fan. Nice. Says, oh, who is better, Upsy Daisy or Iggle Piggle? Upsy Daisy. Did you know I'm French? I didn't, but bonjour. And what's your predictions on Dan TTM? Don't know who that is, so I don't know what you're talking about. James Delaney says, as a kid, did you have a milk round or a paper round? I had neither, because I was not going to get up that early. SWTV says, should CBeebies have a new ident set? In one way, yes, but I also think they do really well. I mean, they've had what they've had since 2002, and it's worked, so I think they're in no rush to change it. DJF Vlog says, favourite football team? Liverpool! Can you review the Now Music board game? I didn't know such a thing existed. I'd be tempted to get that, and if I do get it, I will review it. And can you do a live Now review? A live Now review? I kind of like doing the pre-records on the Now review, to be honest, so it's a nice idea, but I'll pass on that one. Moves22 Olsworth says, have you ever taken your own drinks to pubs and restaurants? I know it's frowned upon. I've never done it in a restaurant. In a pub, I might have done it once or twice if I didn't have my ID, but I don't condone it. It's not something I do regularly. TMP Rewritten says, if you did an episode about BBC Video on the Ident review, could you do one on Polygram Video? It's certainly not out of the question. I mean, more video companies would be a nice feature on the Ident review. I've got no major plans to bring the Ident review back at the minute, but I will bring it back eventually, so maybe I'll kick it off with a video one. Lindsay Thomas says, have you seen the masterpiece of the film Metropolis? I've seen the 1984 Giorgio Moroder version. I do own the 1927 version, what's left of it, on a DVD. So I've seen it in one sense. Have you seen the anthology series Out of the Unknown? It's like the British version of The Twilight Zone. I've heard of it, not seen it. Lindsay Nicole says, LMFAO or the Black Eyed Peas? Black Eyed Peas, definitely. Worst spin-off now... Wait, worst now spin-off cover art. Right, okay. Probably... Ooh, well, anything that's just got, like, bland colours. I mean, the pop one, now it's what I call pop, even though it was colourful. I look back now and I think it's really tacky. And favourite now album? Well, in terms of spin-offs, I think I've said it before, like the Power Ballads one. Always a favourite. Roger Darthwell says, have you heard that Olivia de Havilland died last week? Well, obviously that was some time ago now. The last surviving actress from the 1939 classic Gone with the Wind. Yes, I'd heard she'd gone, and it's a real shame, but I mean, everyone has their time, and she lived till 104, wasn't it? So she had a good run. Have you ever been in one of the British overseas territories? Do you mean like, I forgot what they're classed as these days. I probably have. And you've asked me the same for the French. I don't know if I have for the French. Maybe I have. Media Lover says, have you heard that the Royal Bank of Scotland has merged with its parent company, NatWest? I didn't. I mean, neither of those are my personal banks, so I don't really follow them. And do you own any Liverpool FC related merch? Aside from a top from last year, I would love to get a cap, you know, like the Klopp cap with LFC on it. But they're quite expensive, surprisingly. At least the good quality ones. And what do you think of Morrissey? Is he you think he's overrated? I think he's overrated. The whole thing with the Smiths, I think they're overrated as well. But, you know, it's all opinion. Coaster Yaris says, have you heard that Total Wipeout is coming back with new narration over classic episodes? I didn't. That's interesting. Why? I mean, I think when the pandemic ends, they should just make new episodes. But, you know, each to their own. And have you ever considered doing community videos? I have thought about this, but the thing is, because it's my channel that I started, I kind of like the idea of me knowing what's going on there. It's not like I don't trust you guys, but I mean, you'd have to work out things with the monetization sharing as well, and how it would be managed, and who it would go through, because I can't exactly give you guys the details to my YouTube and stuff. So maybe it might be about making a second channel for it, and then, but at the minute, no. I have no plans to do a community thing, sadly. Cloverfield911 says, you should do a breakfast segment and use the TVA Meg Cups only with the letters swapped. Well, funnily enough, I can't remember if it was yourself or someone else made that logo on the Discord server, but I might do that at some point. Jacob Furrier says, have you ever been to Norwich? I passed through it, never like stopped and had a look around. Did you know that the BBC is one of my favourite radio and TV broadcasters? I didn't know that, but I mean, good on you, mate. It's one of mine too. And is it true that you like spaghetti bolognese? It is more than true. It's a fact. Futura E549 says, what's that Futura-esque font you use for your thumbnails? I actually don't know the exact name. I'll have a look at it next time I create one. But I've always liked that Futura style font. I think it's very straight. It's very to the point. And have you ever watched Doctor Who on the Pluto TV channel? I haven't. I didn't know such a thing existed. The Original Being says, are you a cider drinker? No, hate cider. Too sweet for me. Which cities in the UK have you not visited yet? Well, tons. I can't think off the top of my head. I'd love to have a proper look around, like Bristol. If you had the chance to make a companion for your version of Doctor Who, how would he or she turn out? Well, it's funny you asked this. I was having a conversation with a friend just recently about has there been like alien companions, and we've had people like Romana, who's a Time Lord as well, or Time Lady, and we've had Nissa, who was from Traken. But it'd be really cool to have like an actual alien that doesn't look humanoid be a long-time companion. Alex McCune says, if you ever made BBC Two idents during a rebrand, what would they look like? Well, I'd probably make them the same like Two shape of like the 90s, but just basically expand and make loads more sequences for it. Really expand that roster. Thrice or Norwin? Norwin in my opinion. And the iconic twos or the curved twos of BBC Two? Oh, definitely the iconic twos. Way more than curve. I like curve, but not that much. Squall Rowlandson says, have you seen the anime Beast Stars? No, I haven't. What are they? And what would you think of a Danger Mouse and Thunderbirds crossover? I mean, it'd be cool. If however they did it, it would be cool. And what do you think is the most funniest moment in Dick and Dom? I can't honestly remember all the moments in Dick and Dom. It was just funny overall. Tall Autism 2006 says, what BBC Two ident do you like more? Car, dog, crystal ball, or firecracker? Well, out of that selection, I think either firecracker or car, in my opinion. And what is your favourite BBC One 2020 ident? I love In Bloom with all the flowers. I think that's really great ident to look at. And what do you think are your most edited videos? Probably the brief history ones, just because there's a lot of more time and definitely more effort. I mean, the editing on the 10k subscriber special took me hours and hours and hours. I don't think you guys understand. Like, my laptop's old. It's a bit slower. It took me at least, like, 30, if not more, hours to put that thing together, and that was 50 minutes. Garfield Pikmin fan 911 says, have you seen the movie Open Season? Yes, a long time ago. I never saw the sequels though. Phoenix Fire 90 Gaming says, can you do a brief history of the rise and fall of ITV Digital or the brief history of the analog switchover? They are interesting subjects and ones I'd definitely consider for brief history. I'd have to do a lot more research though before I feel like I could tackle that in a good way. Christopher Kenyon says, what do you think of the movie Die Hard, Rain Man, or An American in Paris? If you're asking me to choose, definitely Die Hard. I've seen Rain Man, good film. Love Die Hard. Haven't seen An American in Paris yet though. Milky Shake says, have you noticed that in the last Sunday catch-up there was an error with my question not being commented down by me? It's happened quite a lot now. Yes, I've seen that with like copycats and stuff. I do apologise. I do my best to try and differentiate, but sometimes YouTube makes it really difficult to differentiate it, so I do apologise for that. Have you heard the phrase, I'm here until the fat lady sings, and if so, what does it mean? I think it has a similar meaning to until the cows come home. It essentially means that, yeah, it's the same sort of sentiment. And what was the funniest question you've ever been asked on either the Sunday catch-up or the midweek catch-up? The funniest question, probably like, I think someone asked me just, do I own a washing machine? I just found that so funny because washing machines seem like such a standard part of life. It would seem funny if I didn't own a washing machine. Doctor Who fan says, thoughts on the year 2016 as a whole? Awful. Absolutely awful. Did you know that the Power of the Dalek Special Edition DVD case is a clear plastic instead of the silver one, so it doesn't match? What do you think of that? If I'm honest, I didn't notice that. I will have a look after I film this, but I mean, I'm not so bothered about stuff like that. I think my copy of, well, before I swapped it out when I got the Blu-ray of Curse of Fenric was a black case, so that didn't match, but, you know, each to their own. And thoughts on Doctor Who Season 24. Sylvester McCoy's first. It's definitely the weakest of the three. Obviously more comedic, but it's still fun. I think Season 24 is a lot of fun. Just go and rewatch it and you'll see what I mean. The Swede says, what was the funniest moment behind the scenes while rehearsing for No Horizon? Oh, what's safe to tell? Just moments where like things may say we get our lines wrong, but we just keep going, or we'd improvise. We just make it up, and we just have a laugh. I love that about rehearsals. How things go wrong, you can just laugh your way through it. And have you ever travelled to Sweden? I have been to Sweden once, to my knowledge, when I was about 8. It was when there was a lot of snow, and we were seeing some family friends, and I really loved it. I'd love to go back. And what is your favourite board/card game? I've always loved Monopoly, but my card game is Yu-Gi-Oh! Always Yu-Gi-Oh! Still got my deck. And Jordan Howell says, Pingu or Noddy's Toyland Adventures? Probably Pingu, to be honest. And brief history or overthinking? Brief history any day. Thomas the Tank Engine or Lightning McQueen? Thomas, man. I mean, Lightning, wow, but Thomas always. Andrew the Boss 389 says, Xbox or Nintendo? Nintendo. And KFC or Pizza Hut? KFC. Nathan Simpson says, do you know there's a variation on the BBC One Globe ident where it shows the announcer turning a square globe in a promo for the final episode of the 1964 series It's a Square World? I did not know that. I'll have to find that clip if it exists still. And did you know there was a Wurzel Gummidge play starring John Pertwee like in the programme? Yes, I did know he did that. He played that character very well. Probably his most iconic bar Doctor Who. Trout Games says BBC 2 or ITV2? BBC 2. Any day. Joseph Adams says, do you remember watching Small Soldiers when Christie drove do you mean a motor scooter? I have seen Small Soldiers, it's been a while, but that film was really funny. It was good fun. I used to have the, the Gorgonites and the Commandos. I used to have a lot of those action figures. And do you know VHS tapes are quite cheap on eBay? I bet they are, but the postage would be annoying. And do you know Cosgrove Hall is 50, like Rainbow and Sooty? I didn't know Cosgrove Hall was 50, but hey, good on them. They produced some cracking work in those 50 years. Jeff Davies says, if you own all the Numbered Now albums, how come you've never shown them on the Now Review? Good question, Jeff. I've always wanted to go back and review the numbered ones properly, one by one. I made some videos years ago, which you can still find, where I reviewed them in like groups of 5, but they're very like poor in quality compared to like what I make now, in my opinion. So I'd love to actually go back through and make a Now Review series one by one on those numbered installments. And have you heard that Johnny Depp has been in court recently? Yes, I have. I haven't looked into the case much, but I just hope if you've been following it and you see the facts or who's telling the truth, whatever, as long as justice is served, that's the key thing. And did you know that Boy George gets his feet painted green every time he goes to the chiropodist? I know, I didn't know. You guys know a lot about Boy George. Rebecca Fithian says, who is your favourite comedian? Well, Rebecca, my favourite comedian is, I say that and then stop. I've always liked the ones who are a bit more edgy, so I love like Rod Gilbert, who's a Welshman. Anyone with a lot of swearing and a lot of edgy jokes. Big fan of that, basically. But I'll say Rod Gilbert, the Welshman. Question 2, Mike or Sully from Monsters Inc. Obs, well, obviously. I think it was Sully when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I've grown to like Mike more, just because of his more sarcastic and witty personality. And question 3, spring, summer, autumn or winter? Winter. Great time of year. I get to wrap up in my warm clothes, got nice long coats and everything's nice and wintry. I can go ice skating and Christmas movies. Winter. Best season of the year. Matthew Hawkins says, has any of the content in Video Scaries actually scared you? Admittedly, for me, not much, although some things did, like when I did the episode on AIDS, the Australian advert with the Grim Reaper playing bowling, that creeped me out quite a lot. VHS Artifact says ITV or Channel 4? Probably Channel 4 for me. And VHS or DVD for recording purposes? Well, DVD can be a bit fiddly, but it's better quality, but VHS just because of the nostalgia, quite frankly. Tuxified Art says, how was your week off? Well, it ended up being 2 weeks for the most part, didn't it? Or nearly 2 weeks. So, yeah, it was much well needed. I needed time for my mental health, to spend time with family, with loved ones, with my girlfriend. Just a lot of time off from YouTube is what I needed. Favourite series you currently do? I'm really enjoying Weird Who. Weird Who I actually absolutely adore, making just videos on the quirkiness of the Whoniverse, so yeah, definitely that. And modern UK TV branding or 2000s UK TV branding? Probably the 2000s, because I think it would, for the most part, it was more interesting. I think what they've got now is a bit generic and bland. Clarence Brown says, in your brief history of the 5 main channels, who made the AMTV productions? That was a creator known as Juan the NC154. I credit him in every description, and I've left a link to his channel, which you can check out. He's made a lot of great AMTV idents for me that I use, so big up Juan for that. And why are there no Christmas idents for the Ident Review Extra? I made the conscious decision I was going to save them to potentially go back nearer Christmas time to actually have a look at them, if that makes sense, because I feel that would be more fitting, like an Advent-y calendar thing. And Regis Philbin recently died. Did you know that? Yes, I'm so sad to see Regis died about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I had originally planned to make a short little tribute video for him, and I might still do that. I wanted to do it around the time, but with everything I was busy with, I didn't get the chance. But it's a real shame he's gone. Great presenter, great guy. Rest in peace, Regis. Zachary Gatt says, do you prefer Samsung or Apple? Samsung, even though I've got an Apple computer. And which episode of Thunderbirds is your favourite? I've always liked, I think it's called City of Fire, the one with the tower block. That's always been a big favourite. Tim Goodwin says, which BBC video ident would you bring back? Ooh, probably the early 90s one with the 3 notes that I use in Video Scaries. That would be really nice to see return. Harry Jones says, Carol Baskin or Anne Robinson? Anne Robinson any day. 509% of 333. I would work that out, but I can't be bothered, so I'm sorry. And what's the schedule for the Ident review? Well, I don't know when it's going to be coming back. It will eventually come back. I just haven't decided when. Digi the Robot says, which of the 91 to 2001 BBC 2 idents do you find the most intriguing? Probably ones with like the most mystery or atmosphere about them, like I really like Swan and Crystal Ball, just things of that nature. And so what are your thoughts and predictions for ITV's 65th anniversary next month? That's right, that's coming up. I actually don't know, you know. I mean, for starters, I think 65 isn't an anniversary that's often celebrated, especially in TV. The next one probably for ITV is realistically going to either be 70 or 75. And is it possible that my creator Jack could join you on an Ident Review or Ident Review Extra as a special guest? I have been thinking about introducing guests. I mean, I'm already working on the Patreon. Like, if you are a certain tier, you may get to provide audio for future videos. That's something I'm working on. So, you know, I might work that in at some point, yeah. LJA says, have you ever considered doing your take on Gogglebox where you react to the week's telly? If copyright wasn't a thing, yeah, I'd give it a try. And did you know that Roman Kemp broke up from Capital Breakfast earlier this week due to a death of a friend? Yes, I heard about that. It's very sad, but you know, you have to make those decisions sometimes. And I know you've given me that sum. I'm not going to answer it. Guys, when I say I can do mental maths, it's more simple stuff, not long numbers like that. And those are all your questions. Thank you very much for asking. So I would say as usual, but yeah, please do. Leave your questions in the comments below. Now, remember the first 30 questions, and I mean that questions, not statements, not like silly things I'm not going to answer. The first 30 questions in the comments that I see, I will answer in next week's Sunday catch-up. If you are a Patreon supporter, I will make a post probably before you see this, but there will be a post on Patreon where you can leave your questions there, where they'll definitely be answered. They'll be answered first as well. But yes, from now on, only the first 30 questions answered on the Sunday catch-up. Don't worry if you don't get the chance. I'm planning on doing like midweek catch-ups and stuff where you'll be able to ask me anything there. But yeah, that's how it's going to be from now on. But thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Leave a like. Leave your questions down below in the comments for me to answer. Keep supporting the show. We are back. There's going to be content coming, old and new. And until the next one, I will see you guys next time. This programme has been brought to you in part by our producer-level patrons. With your support, you help keep AMTV running and the programmes coming to your screens. Thank you. And that does bring us to the end of another evening here on AMTV. We hope you enjoyed the programme, and we hope to see you next time. Good night.